Hello, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. This broadcast is live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV, channel 125 and on all our social media handles. We're Joy News on TV. Coming up, we will continue to demand justice for the attacks on our citizens and for the lives lost in the xenophobic violence. Words of Foreign Affairs Minister as he joins families at the Accra International Airport to receive the latest batch of evacuees from South Africa. We have details, plus take you live to the Accra International Airport. Transport operators threaten 30% fare hike as petrol surpasses 14 cities and diesel nears 18 cities at some filling stations.
So last week we came out with a proposal that we are giving the government 3 days ultimatum that they should, do something about the petroleum product. Else we will also come up with 30% fare increment.
We have details, plus what can Tema Oil Refinery do to ease the pressures on fuel prices?
We need to have a legislative instrument that will ensure the sustainability of what the Jubilee Street Crude Oil delivered to toll should be. It shouldn't be that when it is politically convenient that the president will take that action or the sector will take that action.
A year after Joy News exposed the drug ghettos of Thinker Island and Colombia, a follow-up investigation reveals Ghana's drug crisis is worsening, with illicit substances spreading beyond the ghettos into schools, university campuses, and even everyday food and drinks consumed by young people.
When they take the infuse or when they take the subulu, they get high, like so high, they get hooked to it, and like the touching from it is actually very hard. So it goes as far as like some people have to have it every day.
Well, this afternoon we take you to Mpoho, Fiase district of the Western region, where galamsey has been normalized with illegal miners operating right in front of a local police station.
I'm paying for how many away, some way you know. Obiaya say Sadman a Kosoa. It's your Mocaso.
The Pulse is brought to you by Defender Cough Expectorant. Defender, breathe easy, feel better. This is Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. See you in a moment.
Upgrade your print game with Konica Minolta, proudly powered by SkySat Technologies. From all-in-one machines that print, scan, and copy to professional systems and heavy-duty production machines, we deliver unmatched performance. Right now, SkySat has an unbeatable offer. 1 entire year of free servicing on all Konica Minolta machines. That's 12 months of expert maintenance for new and existing customers. Visit our new VIP print center at Pegasus Place, Airport Residential Area for a live demonstration. Call us on 050-164-5180 or 0302-798-829. Again, it's 050-164-5180 or 0302-798-829. SkySat Technologies, performance that delivers every time.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults?
This price for teenagers.
It's a bargain, as the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring Baby Car. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes.
If you want quality, this be where you belong.
Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
My name is John Darkon, MP for Swami constituency. Fortunately, my democracy is not for sale. I hope yours is also not for sale.
Palladium Residences in Achimota isn't just an address, it's the home you truly earned. Secure your place with just a 10% deposit and choose from beautifully designed modern apartments or spacious townhouses built for everyday comfort. This is more than a building. It's a vibrant, curated community with a clubhouse, state-of-the-art gym, and an on-site hotel, all at ABC Junction, minutes from Achimota Mall. Enjoy city energy while retreating to your private sanctuary. Call now to reserve your unit and benefit from limited launch incentives, including priority unit selection, executive pricing, and flexible payment options available. Don't miss the chance to pick the best homes. Book your private site visit today. Call 050-9823-424. Palladium Residences. Live smart, invest better.
Late night study session, endless assignments, and now these urchins and mosquitoes.
You guys are sitting here just have you done the assignment Mr. Pachi gave us?
How do we do those assignments?
These mosquitoes. Let me quickly upload this and deal with these mosquitoes.
See miracle.
Abro mosquito spray. Solution to keep your home mosquito free.
Mom, this is what I call a good night's sleep.
Oh yes, baby. With Abra Mosquito Spray, you get to sleep comfortably and wake up refreshed.
Marketed and distributed by Cherish Ghana Limited, number 5 Spintex Road, Accra, Ghana. Please call 0243-690-066. Abra Mosquito Spray. One blast, total protection.
Welcome to the program. Transport operators are threatening a 30% increase in fares after what they describe as government's failure to respond to the rising cost of fuel. The union says rising fuel prices, coupled with the cost of spare parts, lubricants and taxes, are squeezing drivers so badly that some reportedly spend almost their entire daily earnings on fuel. The warning follows the latest price adjustments, with petrol selling at about 14 cedis per litre, some stations, and diesel reaching 18 cedis. Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Samuel Amwa, says it is now seeking an urgent meeting with the Transport Ministry, but warns that if nothing changes, a fare increase may be unavoidable.
fuel prices right now is something that is disturbing the transport sector very, very well. You know that this work that we are doing, anytime the fuel prices will go up, then the drivers will also, be going through a whole lot of hardship because at the close of the day, you use all your money to go and buy fuel and you not earn anything to take home. So where the fuel prices now, it's not helping at all. It's not helping at all. The driving sector is not happy about the current prices that we are seeing. Last week, we were proposing that the government should do something about the petroleum products. We don't normally rely on only petroleum products. We also consider the spare parts, the lubricants, and the taxes. As for the spare parts, we have been talking about it. The dealers don't want to reduce it, so we are not really been talking about it again. But with the fuel prices, they gave us a promise that they will make sure that it will go down, and this is what we are seeing now. So last week we came out with a proposal that we are giving the government 3 days ultimatum that they should, do something about the petroleum product. Else, we will also come up with 30% fair increment, of which the 3 weeks that we gave the government, ended last Saturday. So we are still waiting for them to do something as quick as they can. Else we cannot do anything than to also come up with an increment of fares. The 3 days that we gave the government, ended last Saturday. Today, as I'm speaking to you, we've not heard anything from them, but the leadership is moving to, see the transport ministries to, find out from them what is really the problem.
Let's get more on this, and my colleague Jason Day of the Joy News Research Desk is joining me in the studio with details. Jason, what more do we have to know about this?
So, Ken, you remember just last week, just after the pricing window, last 2 weeks after the pricing windows, OMCs have been increasing their prices for petrol and diesel. And the reason for this, they have stated, but then it's shocking as to why they've decided to raise or adjust their prices before or even after a pricing window. It begs the question as to why this is happening, because GOIL has increased their price from 14 cedis 40 pesos, which they had already increased last week, to 14 cedis 60 pesos, which is selling today. That's for petrol. And for diesel, they have increased it to 17 cedis 70 pesos, which has increased from 17 cedis 40 pesos, which they already increased for the second time, even after the pricing window. So this is what GOIL has done. Star Oil has also done the exact same thing. They've also increased their price. If we can go to the next slide. Yes, Star Oil has also increased their price by 30 pesos for both petrol and diesel, even after increasing it last week. So the question here is, why are they increasing after a pricing window, or why are they not waiting for the pricing window before they increase? But then the guidelines already states that what the MPA does is they set a price floor. What that means is that no matter what, you cannot sell beyond or below that particular price. Okay. Those pricing window, that's what the pricing window does. But then these OMCs also have the liberty to increase their price no matter what. There's no regulation as to that. But in the past, that rule, that price floor has helped us because things were looking bright, things were looking good for OMCs to cut their prices to the extent that even Star Oil wanted to reduce the price to 9 cedis when the price floor was at 10 cedis. That was just a few months ago. But then now, because of things happening in the Middle East and what is happening to the crude oil price globally, the OMCs here feel like they can't wait for the pricing window. Since they have the opportunity, or they can increase their prices without waiting for the pricing window, then they will do just that.
Interesting there. Jason Day of Data and Research Desk here at Joy News. Thank you very much, Jason. Well, joining me right now is the Executive Director for the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa. Mr. Amwa, welcome to the program. What is your assessment of the latest fuel price increases? Hello, Duncan, can you hear me?
Oh, okay, so Kenneth, if I'm the one who's talking to them, my name is Benjamin Isnia.
Oh, Ben, good to have you on the show. Welcome. Right, Ben, welcome to the program. I want to ask you the same question. What do you make of the latest fuel price increases?
So one, it is against the law because the law mandates BDCs and OMCs to set prices within specific windows, regardless of new prices that may come from the international market. So any OMC or BDC setting higher price based on current price on the international market is acting illegal. And I think that the MPA must enforce this particular regulation. However, if you look at the downstream, sometimes some of the BDCs set higher prices. And then OMCs also set higher prices, what we call the indicative price. So when they sell below the indicative price or at the indicative price, then they are not acting illegal. However, when they publish their export prices to MPA and sell above the export price, I think they're acting illegal, and MPA must make sure that they act according to law. And if others found acting, and I think some of them have seen prices changing, if research and assessment confirm, research and investigation confirm that they are acting against the law, I think that MPA must bring them to justice.
Interesting there. Has this ever happened before, what is currently happening, or this is a first?
No. So, until recently, MPA has always been using what we call the indicative prices. But in 2025, MPA decided to go by the export price, which means that OMCs must quote the export price and then give this particular price to MPA on bi-weekly basis, which with each window, they must communicate to MPA how much they are going to sell their product. So this is quite recent, it is new, and I think that it is so because of the anticipated risk of prices escalating on the international market. However that may be, MPA must let them act according to the pricing regulation and not against the pricing regulation.
Well, just last weekend, the price on the international market crossed $100 US. Now it's come down. Do you see it crossing $100 US anytime soon?
So if we in Ghana don't actually use the price of crude to set export price, we use price of finished product. And these prices of finished product used in certain export price are picked, our average is picked within certain periods. As we speak, expectation is that coming 1st of August, which is to be Saturday or so, price of petroleum products will increase. They are going to increase because the average has published over the period has shown some increment in all the price of all the products. So if you take LPG, we take diesel, we take petrol, we've seen an average increment of about 10% on all these products. So based on these averages picked by MPA, the expectation is that price will increase in the coming window. So Ghanaians must brace themselves for higher price of petroleum products, regardless of what happens on the international market, whether crude oil price falls or not. The averages from MPA, based on their price indications, show that price will increase. And this is because all the products have seen their prices surge on the international market. The other side is that when prices increase and prices begin to decline after the 1st of August, maybe the subsequent window will see their prices drop. And you will see prices drop because of what is currently happening on the international market, or after the first pricing window, or after the 1st of August, when MPA realizes that the average.
Hello, Benjamin Isia, do I have you? I seem to have lost Benjamin Isia on the line. He's the Executive Director for the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy there. Well, let's just stay on this and speak to the Executive Director for the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa. Duncan, welcome to the program. I want to pick your assessment of the latest fuel price increases.
These are reflections that you get of what is prevailing globally. And of course, I would want to disagree with the earlier assertion that the market is behaving illegally. When you go to a price deregulation program, what the policy clearly spells out is that you must be able to do full cost recovery plus markup. And so For anybody even setting price floor or price ceiling, it is neither here nor there. The price is simply deregulated. What it means is that if the importers go and they get it for 10 cedis, it should be 10 cedis plus maybe their markups or margins to be able to continue to stay in business. So the illegality, I do not see that at play here. Rather, I think that, again, the NPA would have to look at that publication of price floors. It does not help anybody. Within a window, prices have gone up. Diesel by more than 1 Ghana cedi. If you look at where it started from at the start of the window on the 16th and where it is today, almost 18 Ghana cedis, it's done more than 1 Ghana cedi. If the reverse was the case, as I have always indicated, and it should have gone down by 1 Ghana cedi, the publication of the price and floor would have indicated that they can't go down because you have made it a law as a regulator to stop them from going down. So we rather would need to revise, our practices to ensure that the consumer is not affected badly by this global price movement. But what you see on the markets now is a stark reflection of what is prevailing globally. The only bit that Ghana could do would be to use policy to cure some of these things and not to go after the market as though they have done something particularly wrong. I do think that government could intervene again. We saw that not long ago where government decided that portions of taxes be applied to cushion particularly diesel consumers who currently may be inching up to almost 18 Ghana cedis a litre. Again, petrol is also climbing, but it's not climbed to the levels that I would expect the GPRTU to do at 30%, although the numbers at this point will be indicating that there could be some hikes in fares. But when you look at where they were, prices that were on the market before GPRTU and its members went down on transport fares by 15%, somewhere in August last year, where we forced them to go down. Those prices have climbed back to those levels now. And so if you ask me, probably 15, maximum 20% maybe could be fair, but the 30 we are saying could be an overkill. That conversation, again, we will join. We would also impress on GPRTU and other transport operators like concerned, committed drivers who happen to be members as well, to ensure that we do not just get the Ghanaian in the middle of all of this to be that inconvenience. 30 is quite high, but I do think that government still has a window within which to apply some policy relief to ensure that the prices that we have now could be cooled off a bit so that the consumer gets some relief. If that happens, I'm sure GPRTU would see reason in not going up altogether. But in the absence of that, we're simply asking them to increase transport fares, which of course would increase the cost of goods and services within the country.
While we wait for that to happen, though, do you see diesel, for instance, hitting 20 cedis? Because now it's nearing 18 cedis per litre at some filling stations. Do you see it hitting about 20 cedis per litre if nothing is done?
As we speak, prices on the plant Argos continue to inch up. Mondays are usually not very steep, but by close of day, of course, if the hostilities in the Gulf continue to persist, if the uncertainties with a blow up of one of those Iranian vessels continue to persist, what it means is that you may not get as much cargo going through the Hormuz and, of course, the Red Sea. And so once that happens and the supply suppression, you are likely to see prices go up. Again, don't forget that anytime crude goes up, because it's a base product for refining, it has a direct effect on refined products. What the refineries only do is to add their tolling margins, which is to say that they're converting crude to finished product. If they add those margins and crude is still high, I expect that prices could be higher. And I expect that by the start of the next window, clearly the 18 Ghana cedis would have been crossed. As to whether we'll get to 20, I don't see that happening, but there's a possibility that we can get to 18 19 Ghana cedis by the end of the week.
Let's stay a while in the Middle East. Would you say that the current prices are justified by the developments on the international market and even by the CD-dollar exchange rate?
Indeed, what you have prevailing globally, the geopolitical tensions, which of course, not long ago, there's also the suggestion that Ukraine has even taken part in bombing an Iranian tanker. What that means is that you are not likely to see an end to these hostilities. Once that is not happening and the Houthis are also being drawn in as we speak, Israel continues to, prefer some onslaught within the region. What it means is that you are not probably looking at an end immediately in sight. When that happens, you can have prices cool off. But again, this has protracted beyond February 28th when America, of course, did the first, attack. It is protracted beyond 6 months as we speak. And so for anybody to think that prices will cool off immediately, I do not see that happening. Rather, government could use local policy to cure what is happening on the global stage. If that does not happen, we'll simply be price takers. And again, like I said, the Middle East conflict, the conflict between Russia, Ukraine, the tensions with Houthis and the Yemeni and everybody across the globe, it would simply mean that prices would need to go up. I was of view that government saw this coming, and for which it decided to get some of the refineries, Central and Tor, to process our local crude. But when we met with Tor last week, the indication we got was that they are simply doing a commercial transaction, which is to say that they are paying for real-time prices for the crude, and again, they are also paying in the dollar index. So back to the question of the cedi. Just a week ago, the cedi was struggling. If you put that together with international benchmarks going up, the effect is what you are seeing at the pumps. But I am hopeful that the government will come to some decision on how to intermediate so that we do not get to the 19, the 20, and again the 15, the 16 for petrol and diesel. If that happens, I do not see how government could be able to cool it any further because, again, the cedi is dragging, international benchmarks also dragging on prices.
Not long ago, we saw government intervention in the petroleum sector. What options are available on the table for government now if it is to intervene?
I would want to call on the Energy Ministry to take a stronger view of what is happening, ensure that whatever crude trading or transaction that is pertaining currently between the two major refineries and GMPC and its partners does not continue to be dollar indexed. Because once that happens, anytime there's a drag on the cedi or cedi depreciates, the refineries would need to factor into their pricing because they will need to be able to pay for the crude that they are processing. Again, if you also are doing strictly commercial and you are not intervening with the crude with a view to cooling off prices on the local fuel market, you are simply asking them to trade as the BDCs also trade from the international market. So government will need to look at it again from the side of supplying crude to the local refineries. Again, government still has the option of intervening with some of the taxes, like it did not long ago. Thirdly, government should look at the strategic reserve program and ensure that we do not continue to sleep on it. Put some few percent somewhere that you can have a program where in times when prices are lower, government can use that fund to buy and store products with the bulk oil storage and transportation to ensure that when you get to such times when prices are looking quite steep on the international market, government could intervene with already refined products that they can put out for the OMCs to be able to contain prices. Any of these three propositions, I'm sure government could intervene positively on the market.
You spoke briefly about the Tema oil refinery. Should I take it to mean that realistically, Tor cannot help bring down the cost of petroleum products in the country as we speak right now?
If we are not as it were, intentional about giving TOR crude that probably is benchmarked favorably. And again, crude that we are asking them to sell and pay for in the local currency, and it continues to be dollar indexed. You are simply telling them to behave as a commercial concern. And I do not see how, if they are to do the commercial things, they will sell cheaper than the BDCs bringing products. Although, again, realistically, they will be able to cut off or shave off the logistical cost involved with, vessels, premiums, insurance, and all of that. They can cut that off. But if you continue to ask them to pay for top dollar, for the crude you give to them, you're simply asking them to also factor the forex differential or the cedi's performance. And that would mean TOR might not be able to do much, Central might not be able to do much. So there needs to be a revision of strategy as far as the crude we're giving to these local refineries is concerned. If that is done, they might be able to get you fuel at, say, 50 pesos lower or even a cedi lower to the market. But if you do strictly commercial, you are simply asking them to behave just like any other commercial entity, Dangote, or the refineries out there in Europe would have to behave.
We've seen how volatile petroleum products have been on the international market. What should consumers expect in the coming weeks? Are we likely to see further increases, or is there room for some relief, you think?
Where you find yourself, you are entering into the peak period of demand. Don't forget that people would begin traveling across the world. Importations would begin to get steeper as you get towards the end of the year. So around these periods, you get fuel prices, even without the tensions in the Middle East, going up naturally. And where now you have the supply suppression also happening because of the Middle East tensions, the writings are simply pointing to a time where you end up paying a little more on the market. And for which reason, again, I am reiterating for government to step in, to intervene, to ensure that the cost of diesel particularly does not get out of hands.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Director of COPEC. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Meanwhile, the decision to supply Tema Oil Refinery with crude oil from Ghana's Jubilee Field has been met with some criticism. The Institute for Energy Security argues that Ghana needs a permanent policy requiring a portion of locally produced crude to be supplied to TOR. Prosper Smith Buahin is senior researcher at the Institute for Energy Studies.
But in the long term, as you are saying, it took decades for us to get to be at this position. So we don't expect 3 million barrels of crude delivered to TOR and refined to automatically change the entire dynamics. We will have to, that is what IES called. If you realize, IES will take call, and we are making that call insistently, that we need to have a legislative instrument that will ensure the sustainability of what the Jubilee Sweet crude oil delivered to TOR should be. It shouldn't be that when it is politically convenient that the president will take that action or the sector will take that action. We saw the first term of President Mahama in 2016 delivering such crude to TOR, but then it just ceased. It didn't happen again. And we revert back, all those gains that were made at that time was eroded. Today, the president has done the same, but as to whether that is just by the whims of his power, that is also a question that we need to interrogate further. And that is why IES is calling that let there be a legislative instrument, as it is in Nigeria, as it is in Malaysia, as it is in Indonesia, where they have a domestic market obligation, which will mean that anytime a Sploco is lifting fuel or lifting their crude, they have a percentage of it. It could be that the percentage will be a case-by-case basis or period-by-period basis. It may not necessarily be fixed. And that will go a long way to help us.
Well, President John Mahama is pushing for the speedy passage of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers Bill currently before Parliament, saying the legislation is critical to strengthening integrity and accountability in public office. Civil society organizations have for years called for the passage of the bill, which seeks to establish clear ethical standards and obligations for public officers. Delivering remarks on behalf of the president at the launch of Parliament's National Integrity Awards, Legal counsel to the president, Marietta Brew, said the Mahama administration remains committed to upholding the highest standards of integrity in public service.
I read recently from Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition that we lose about 3 billion cedis annually through corruption. What it means is that institutions of state, institutions of government cannot be strengthened with money. What it means is that the first step to strengthening our institutions is integrity and ethical leadership. On the part of government, we have two very critical initiatives that we have taken up. In fact, recently, Cabinet has approved what we call the NECAP, that is the National Ethics and Anti-Corruption Action Plan, to replace the National Anti-Corruption Plan, which expired in 2024. And that, I believe, has been or will be submitted to Parliament very soon. Also before Parliament is the Code of Conduct for Public Officers Bill, which will direct all public officers on the kind of leadership we want to see in public service. And there will be consequences for those who flout the law. And I believe that very soon Parliament will deal with these two very important initiatives.
Meanwhile, former Supreme Court Justice and Chairman of the National Integrity Awards Committee, William Atuguba, has raised concerns about what he describes as deeply entrenched corruption across various sectors of the Ghanaian society.
This launch was not a mere ceremony. It has values which have been accepted and insisted upon, and that there's meaningful progress in our national life, and the repellence of abject and horrible deep-seated corruption in all facets of the life of this country. Our people deserve better. I thank you.
You heard there former Supreme Court Justice William Atuguba. Kweku Asante was at the launch and is joining me right now for more on this. Kweku, the Chief Justice has also been speaking about the need to restore public trust in the justice delivery system. I want to find out from you, what specific measures is he proposing to strengthen that trust?
Well, Ken, the Chief Justice is obviously very much alive to the concerns that some members of the public have shared about the perception of corruption among members of the judiciary. According to the Chief Justice, that one of the surest way for judgments or decisions of the courts to be respected and complied with is for the public to believe that the courts are acting with integrity.
Every society discovers that trust is its greatest currency. And once trust disappears, institutions begin to weaken, contracts lose meaning, public confidence erodes, justice itself becomes suspect. As Chief Justice, I know that the judiciary depends upon one thing above all else: not buildings, not budgets, not even judgments. It depends upon public confidence. People obey court orders and decisions not because judges possess physical power. They obey them because they believe that justice has been administered. That belief rests entirely upon integrity. Without integrity,
justice itself cannot survive.
Kweku Asante is still with me. Kweku, one of the awards to be presented under the National Integrity Awards is the rather intriguing Vulture Award. What exactly is the scope of that award and who is it intended to recognize?
Well, it's a very strange nomenclature if you look at it, the Vulture Award. And in fact, at the time the Speaker of Parliament announced this on the floor, it raised quite some concerns about what exactly the metrics will be. But I do not want to speak for the Speaker. Listen to the Speaker himself explain the concept behind this so-called National Vulture Award and what it will take and who it may be given to.
The scheme envisages a special category, and that special category is called the Vulture Award. And this category has attracted public attention, both in and outside Ghana, and understandably so. Its purpose, therefore, must be carefully understood. The purpose of the Vulture Award is not to substitute public accusation for lawful accountability, but to draw responsible attention to conduct that undermines integrity, weakens institutions, and damages the moral health of the nation. It is meant to provoke conscience, stimulate public discourse, and reinforce the principle that while integrity deserves honor, conduct that preys upon the public good must be addressed through scrutiny, evidence, institutional responsibility, and moral clarity. We should name and shame acts and conduct which brings shame or indignity to the moral and social fabric of the Republic. That one, I'm not going to compromise on that. And I'll start doing it on the floor of Parliament. I'm not launching this for somebody to go and implement. We'll start implementing it here. And those of you who want to go and contest again, you better imbibe this. If not, before you go, the Speaker has finished you at your constituency.
Away from Parliament, 1 year after Joy News exposed the drug ghettos of Thinker Island and Colombia in the Ashanti region, a follow-up investigation has uncovered a disturbing shift in Ghana's drug trade. Illicit drugs are being concealed in everyday food and drinks consumed by young people. Here are excerpts from Joy News' Hotline documentary titled Deadly Doses, Part 2, produced by Nana Boakye-Addo.
The drug habits remain, so do the users. But addiction is no longer confined in these settlements. It is spreading into schools and university campuses, into everyday food and drinks, and increasingly into the lives of young people who may never set foot in a drug ghetto. On a university campus, this could easily pass for an ordinary breakfast. A bottle of Sobolo, a brownie, packet of gummies, products that have become familiar to many young people. But investigators and health professionals say some of these everyday items are increasingly being used to deliver something far more dangerous: marijuana, opioids, synthetic substances, and drugs disguised as food. Health professionals describe it as one of the most significant shifts in Ghana's drug trade since our last investigation.
So with the infused, you have the edibles, you have the toffee, you have the sobolu. Basically what you want to infuse it with, so like adding weed to something. So I was doing the infused sobolu, which like the whole process of making the sobolu. So you have to first, when you get a herb, you have to cook the herb. Like, so you can use, I use an air fryer. So first you need to cut the herbs down, separate the stem for everything, then put it in an air fryer for like 15 minutes, then you cook it to activate the herb. So we have the half and half and like the full herbs. So some people also want it mixed with like other things like alcohol, strong alcohol, some other drugs, opium and things. Yeah, so mostly I was doing the full herb and half, that's the herb with the alcohol syrup.
Arnold operates within this growing underground market. He prepares drug-infused products for consumers looking for an alternative to smoke or swallowing pills. The recipes vary, and so do the substances. Some request marijuana, while others ask for opioids. Sometimes they are mixed together. He says demand continues to grow.
So when it comes to the infused something, if you are someone who has taken in infused for like you've taken in weed before, they have something they call the zone state. When they take the infused or like when they take the subulu, they get high, like so high to the extent like they get hooked to it, and like the touching from it is actually very hard. So it goes as far as like some people have to have it every day, or like they want to take it every day. That's how far the addiction is going to. Like they want to take it every day before they even eat something. And I know a girl that she didn't really like it at first. She just tried it from her friends, and she's just hooked to it. Like every single day, she doesn't go with like infused. Like she feels not herself. Let me put it out because the highness and everything, like the zoning and the cloud nine and everything, like it's a whole different level. And most guys, they see when they get high, that's when like they're able to like function well. That's how they're able to like steady, write their song, write their music, like do what they want to do. See?
The attraction goes beyond convenience. Unlike wrapped substances or tablets, these products rarely attract attention. They can be carried openly, shared among friends, or consumed in public without raising suspicion.
So we commissioned a few surveys, a few studies, and so we looked at various issues. One of the key findings that the survey reports came up with was the issue of drugs. We did a poll, or we did a study in second cycle schools. We did a survey in our tertiary institutions, and the findings was that 41% of our tertiary students are aware of active use of drugs on their campuses. 37% of our second cycle students were also aware of active use of drugs in their communities or in their schools. This year we are doing another one in communities properly so that we can also understand what is happening in our communities.
Well, let's get more on this. And joining me in the studio right now is the spokesperson for the Interior Ministry, Julius Kwame Anthony. Also, the Deputy Director of General IC Enforcement and Control Elimination at NACOC, Alexander Chumberima, will also be joining us via video link. But let me begin in the studio. Anthony, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
First of all, has your ministry cited this documentary?
Oh, yes. I think that we are contributors to the production.
Okay.
The minister was interviewed
as
part of the production of the documentary. So we are well aware.
What do you make of it as a ministry? What do you make of these disturbing revelations?
I think that it lends credence to the Honorable Muntake's approach to national security, that we must move from viewing national security as only maintaining law and order and protecting our, territorial sovereignty, to human security and focus on the protection of our young people, and ensure that we must take steps to make sure these drugs don't make their way to them in the first place. And in the case where it makes their way to them, the state must have a stake in rehabilitation. That is why there's a cabinet memo presently, being led by the minister to ensure that drug testing is part of the public service regime. We piloted it with the security services recruitment. It was misunderstood to be just a way to eliminate some people, but it is to ensure that at least we bring in some inherent deterrence at the individual level, for the consumption of these substances. while law enforcement is ensuring that we eliminate the entries.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned that you've introduced it or gradually introducing it in the public sector, but around this documentary, all the people there are in the informal sector or the private sector. How is the ministry going to ensure that these people who are the most affected get protection, some sort of?
I think that you are in error if you think they're in the public sector. If you pay attention to the documentary, it was introduced to some people in schools.
I'm quoting what you said.
But
what you said is not error.
We are looking at one of the ways to deter from the onset. For example, parents, communities, they are stakeholders. One of the things they will tell you that if you are doing this thing, this is where it will lead you at the individual level. Because law enforcement must prevent it from entering, the communities. But at the individual levels, there must be some incentive to want to avoid this. And part of that is why we are bringing these measures. If the things are introduced in schools, 41% of students in tertiary institutions are aware of the presence of these things on campus. If you come to second cycle, we have, I think 30% or so, 20 to 30% of them are aware of the presence of these things. There is the need for the states to now bring some focus to these things. Last year, the Ministry for Youth, in partnership with, some organizations, led the Stop Red campaign. I think that we need to decentralize that campaign. It shouldn't be seasonal. That is why if you look at the work NACOC is doing in partnership with the various tertiary institutions, the guidance and counseling units, to bring prevention of drug use on campuses as well. So those are the ways we can tackle it at the individual level. At the role of government in prevention, I'm glad that the Deputy Director General of NACOC is here. A lot of work is going on. He will tell you the details, but I can say, for example, that if you look at the intrusive body and baggage scanning systems that we have in the country, of course, they are not the most impressive so far. This administration is improving that, and I guess hopefully we'll be receiving more of them at our various entry points. You realize that through the effective implementation of NACOC under his leadership and his boss, we are expanding the administration and presence of NACOC all over the country. There were 7 districts when this administration took over. We now have over 77 of them with the aim of achieving at least 2/3 of all our districts covered by the end of next year. So I think that by the end of the administration, NACOC would have a lot of presence. Drug abuse and drug control must always be intelligence-led. And anything that is intelligence-led must have boots on ground one way or the other.
Right.
Because you need to seek information, you need people reporting and all of those things. So what we are calling for is that while government plays its role, expanding the administrative and logistical scope of NACOC,
right,
we are asking that individual communities also play a role. See the way they are transmitting these things. When someone is eating cake, ordinarily, what would be the incentive of the states to want to look into the cake and see what is in the cake? If someone is drinking Sobolo, what would be the incentive of the states to want to look into what is in the Sobolo? So at that level, we need community compliance, we need individual compliance, we need families taking a stake in fighting this menace. And without community compliance, without families and individuals supporting the states, I do not think that we can win this fight, no matter how sophisticated the state gets.
One of the places that this is more prevalent is in our schools, universities. For example, there are some public universities which have strong enforcements there that if you are caught abusing drugs, you will be expelled. Is that something that the ministry is in agreement with?
Well, I don't think that expelling necessarily solves the problem. But what the schools also want to prevent is a situation where one individual is able to affect all the other people. So people must be aware of the consequences that come out of these things. We think that there must be education that leads to prevention of the conduct in the first place. That would be the most appropriate way. But I can understand the schools as well, if they are quite drastic about wanting to prevent the prevalence. There's one of the schools, for purposes of not scandalizing them, I will not mention the schools, that it was found that it was students who were the active traders of these things. Students were selling to students in some of these schools. So if you are heads of these institutions, you become worried, you become concerned about the situation where students are the ones trading in this. If it were just the use, you may be a bit reserved about the sort of sanction you want to bring. But if it comes to the sale of it, the transmission of it to other people, that in itself is even criminal. under our law. And so the schools will be in the right to want to take those sanctions.
Anthony, don't go yet. Let's go on to Zoom right now and speak to Nana Boakye-Addo. He's the man who produced this Deadly Doses Part 2. And Nana, welcome to the program and kudos on that amazing job done. Tell us some of the revealing things that you found that we couldn't even capture in the 4 minutes clip that we just showed our viewers.
Well, thank you so much, Ken. I think, first of all, I'd want to acknowledge the Ministry of Interior, the Narcotics Control Commission, under the leadership of General Mante, for the support that they gave us in putting together this piece, and also making sure that we get everything that we needed in terms of resource to come up with this. But some of the shocking instances that we recorded in putting this documentary together are basically the instances of food substances being infused. I never thought for a minute that we could wake up one day and realize that the ordinary indomie or noodles that we eat, the ordinary sobolo that we drink, or the cakes that we eat would one day be infused with weed, tramadol, etc. But this is where we find ourselves today, where students themselves are the producers of these food substances that have been infused. And that has been one of the most shocking realities that I have had to come to in producing this documentary. And if you watch closely, we are being told that this is very addictive to some of the people who are hooked onto it. It is one of the things that you can barely stay away from, because it comes along with the sweet attached to the meal that you are taking it with. And so it's very difficult for you to move yourself out of it. So these are some of the shocking instances that I think we are able to capture. Not all got into the documentary. For instance, the noodles and the shito, we could not capture everything, but these are real situations on the ground.
That's quite interesting. So, Nana, help us understand the indomie that is infused with these illicit drugs. What is it? What does it do? What do they tell you that it does?
Well, I can see the surprise in your question, because I asked, say, what does this do for you? Now, there are some people who do not want to consume the weed in its natural form. So they don't want to have the herbs wrapped with the paper, fold it, and then put on the matches and then smoke. There are some people who don't want to take in the pills, the tramadol. They don't want to consume it just like that. Because they are so addicted, they want to have it every day. And so even in some instances, without taking them directly, they want to add it to the food that they eat. That is the rate at which people get addicted to some of these things. That a day without taking it, he has to get it inside the food that they eat. And I was just speaking to some students a while ago who, after watching the documentary, decided to call and share the experiences. And we are being told that this time around, it is not just even the noodles, rice, jollof rice that you eat, fried rice. When you go to campus, you can get to acts of a place where you can buy infused jollof rice, and you'll be directed to go and buy infused jollof rice.
Okay.
And so the addiction is what leads to some of these instances where people do not want to leave it, but then get it inside their food.
So these foods are available upon request, if I get you.
Exactly. And so, for instance, the cake, if I know a dealer or somebody who produces the cake, the person makes the raw cake without infused weed or tramadol, and then makes the other with the infused weed or tramadol. So you go, and then upon request, you're given the one that is infused. And I must tell you that these are very, very expensive. The cakes, for instance, is being sold, one piece is sold for 50 Ghana cedis. And so it's not easy like that. For you to be able to get the little money and then go and buy a cake, a piece of cake, for 50 Ghana cedis just to satisfy your cravings of addiction, it's very wild.
Nana Boakye-Addo, thank you very much. He's the producer of Deadly Doses Part 2. Let's come back in the studio. I still have Julius Anthony with me. Julius, as a kid, just across where I lived, there used to be what they call ghetto.
Yeah.
We used to see police raids once in a while. They raid the place, arrest people and all that. Is it still done? Is it something that is still ongoing? Do the police sporadically raid some of these places?
They always raid.
Okay. When was the last time there was such a raid?
Oh, in fact, not long ago, with collaboration with the Ghana Navy, the Narcotics Control Commission clamped down on the transport of weed.
Okay.
You know, they use these traditional boats, so you think they are going fishing, and then they are transporting these things. The Ghana Navy and the Narcotics.
Where do they transport them to?
Well, I think it's across the border.
So they transport it outside of Ghana?
In and out.
For commercial purposes?
You would not know, but definitely if it is without authorization of the states, then the purpose is illicit. And so those raids were carried out. They were able to clamp down on the individuals. Even at our entry points, think 15 million tablets at Accra Port, 20 million at Tema Port, all of them. So these raids still happen to prevent the entries.
Okay.
But the ghettos, you see, the challenge with the ghettos, if you asked me, is that when you get to the ghettos, it means the thing has already gotten to the end point.
Right.
And some of these people you clamp down on are typically addicts. The solution to them is rehabilitation. There is currently a conversation ongoing, I think interministerially, being discussed that state housing would provide a facility so that we can have a national rehabilitation center. Most of them that we have around are private, which comes with extreme cost. While we prevent the entry of the drugs into the country, we can't just abandon those who are already hooked on it. If you watch the documentary, I felt sad, very, very sad last night when Boachi sent the video to me. These are people crying out for help. And they can only get that help if someone intervenes. And so the state is going to take an active participation in the rehabilitation of these people by bringing on a center. We can deal with it from all those angles.
Often, I think that is the last thing that people consider, the rehabilitation, the people who get hooked on it, because it appears that, not that it appears, they are really addicted to it.
Yeah, but what you will notice is that there is this poignant recantation of the entry in the first place. They regret it if you listen to them.
Yeah.
The problem is that even with the regret, they are unable to stop. And you see them literally saying that unless somebody helps us. One of the video, you see that guy is literally worn out, saying he fears he might die and he needs someone to step in. And the states must play a role. We all agree to that. And I think that this Interior Minister, the Honorable Muntake's approach to this matter would eventually bring us to that point. When you listen to the experts, the complaint is that we don't even have enough of the experts who help in the rehabilitation in the country. And that stems from the fact that how have we viewed national security in the past? Did we view it to include human security, the risk that people who get addicted to these things are a loss to the nation? This minister views it that way. And so gradually we will get to that point where the state plays an active role. But eventually what we need to do is to ensure that the rehabilitation cases are less by blocking the entry point.
You talked about the people who try to smuggle some of these drugs across our borders and all that. What has become of those people? Have they been arrested?
Oh, of course. NACOC is pressing charges against those people. There are over 100 cases presently. One of the things that we have been able to achieve is that with collaboration with the judiciary, there's a dedicated court that sits on narcotics issues. I think Mondays to Fridays, I think from 1 p.m. There's a dedicated court that sits on narcotic cases. So we prosecute all these matters.
Are they all Ghanaians, or you can't tell?
I can't tell that all of them are Ghanaians. I can't tell. I don't have the nationality breakdown.
Okay. Right, let's go on to...
but DG is here, so he will tell you.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's go on Zoom right now and speak to the Deputy Director General at NACOC there. Welcome to the program. Grateful for your time this afternoon. Mr. Chumberima, do I have you?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Welcome. First of all, I want to pick your initial reaction to the documentary done by my colleague, Nana Boachi-Yadom. Have you chanced upon it?
Yes. In fact, they sent it to me, but unfortunately, I've not been able to watch everything. But because I have an idea about the first one or the last year one, I know it's on the same tangent. So, and I even this afternoon, I'm just from a meeting. And in that meeting, I was commending Multimedia or Joy FM or Joy News for the good work or the support that you've given us when it comes to this documentary.
Right.
having that last year and also repeated it to show how far we've come since the last one. It's quite good, and you need to be commended. We are urging several other media houses to emulate whatever you have done.
Okay.
And to get to the barest minimum of this fight that we are fighting. Yeah.
I'm happy that you were able to watch the first part, and you say that because of time, you've not been able to watch the entirety of the second part. But what really shocked you in the few minutes that you were able to watch in the second part?
Oh, for me, because of my job, I cannot say I'm really shocked because, I mean, I am used to seeing this almost every now and then. So I can't say I'm shocked, but I mean, it's just sad that keep having this in the system. I wish, this discussion would not even be had, or we'll not even be having this kind of discussion to discuss how people are abusing drugs. But unfortunately, this is where we find ourselves. This is where we find ourselves. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, one most sad part is even where now even students are becoming a trade source, and they are the ones leading in selling these things. My brother, it's sad. It's sad. But as a commission, we are mandated to fight this. We are mandated to bring this to either to take it off entirely or at least to bring it to its barest minimum. So for that one, I can assure you that we will never sleep on our work and we continue to do whatever it will take for us to get there.
Growing up, what we used to hear was that it was infused with candies. You hear something like wheat toffee and co, but now we're hearing that it's infused.
That one is very recent though.
Yeah. But now we're hearing of it being infused with Indomie, fried rice, jollof, energy drink, even Kosiani Mako. That means your job on clamping it down has become ever more difficult, hasn't it?
It hasn't become difficult in a way, but just that, it's extending.
Right.
One would think that, like you said, growing up, when I was growing up, those who were selling, for instance, cannabis, there was one man in my village those days that used to sell some. He was hiding on the road to the cemetery. That people have to go to the bush and go and get him there and buy these things.
Right.
But the point is, where did we get to? That now even students can take it to the university, mix it with, as you were mentioning, with sobolo, with ice cream, with egg and pepper, and name them. And they are selling it to other students. That is where the challenge is. It's not an outsider. It's not a lecturer. It's not a university staff who is selling it to you. Rather, fellow students are selling it to their colleagues. How? But the good thing is that all those who get themselves involved in these things and are picked, prosecution is your next option, whether you like it or not. And let me sound this more or less a caution to parents. If your children are involved in this, if there is any advice to give to them, the advice is to warn them to desist from this. If you fail to do your part and get them to stay out, and they continuously engage in these things, no problem. But the day they will be arrested, please don't remember to call, because your calls will not save your child. I'm saying this from something. Because we've arrested some students before in some weeks ago.
Right.
And I saw the amount of phone calls that were coming in trying to see if they can intercede on behalf of their children. It will not work.
Well, what is their status right now? Where are they, those people?
They were remanded by the court, and so they've now, the court has now granted them bail. So the trial, the full trial is yet to start, but they are going through the prosecutorial process. So we'll get the case management time, among other things, and then we'll get in one day. Yeah.
Let's look at the likelihood of a minor being involved, because we know that a lot of under 18s are in the universities and second cycle institutions now. What happens when a minor like that is involved? Do you arrest them as well?
Having been in office for almost a year and a half now, I haven't encountered a minor who has been arrested by my officers and brought here. But should we find one, we will basically liaise up with the appropriate authorities and then get the person through the counseling and other, processes.
Well, the campus is an easy place to go. You can just walk into the campus, any campus of your choice that you suspect activities like these are ongoing. But what about places outside the campuses, a place that nobody suspects? How are you able to fish out these individuals who are hiding in these places that we call ghettos to bring them to book?
Okay, so what happens is that with NACOC, we run intelligence-led operations.
Okay.
So in most instances, through our intel, we are able to locate them and they are arrested in the course of their business. Because you are definitely going to be prosecuted. We can't just arrest you without having enough evidence against you.
Right.
So, and again, let me say this, that normally, the normal operations being done by NACOC, we go after not actually the users. The users, we assess them because we take it to be a medical condition. So we assist them with counseling and other things to get them off. But we go after the source. Those who are having it in their shops, having mixed them with various alcoholic drinks and are selling them. They are those that we go after. Because now that is becoming the trend. You go to pubs and it's either you get infused alcoholic drinks or infused sobolo, or name them. Different things.
Right.
That is what we find. But those ones, we normally, like I said, we arrest those who are behind it, those who are bringing them to those ghettos, those who are hiding them in some kind of storage points and are getting intermediaries to get them to the ghettos. They are those that we normally arrest.
Okay.
So that is how come, that is how we deal with those people.
Right. Alexander Chum Berima, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and I wish you all the best. He's the Deputy Director General at NACOC. Still in the studio with me is Julius Anthony, who speaks for the Interior Ministry. I want to pick your departing words, then we wrap up this conversation.
Well, I think that we need an all-encompassing effort to deal with it. The state must play its role, individuals must play their role, communities must play their role. And we must bring a broader understanding to how we maintain national security in this country, which is precisely what the Honorable Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak is leading. And so we will achieve the results at the end of the day.
Julius Anthony speaks for the Ministry for the Interior. You're still watching The Pulse here on Joy News. When we return from the break, we take you to the Accra High Court. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabadim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Palladium Residences in Achimota isn't just an address, it's the home you truly earned. Secure your place with just a 10% deposit and choose from beautifully designed modern apartments or spacious townhouses built for everyday comfort. This is more than a building. It's a vibrant, curated community with a clubhouse, state-of-the-art gym, and an on-site hotel, all at ABC Junction, minutes from Achimota Mall. Enjoy city energy while retreating to your private sanctuary. Call now to reserve your unit and benefit from limited launch incentives, including priority unit selection, executive pricing, and flexible payment options available. Don't miss the chance to pick the best homes. Book your private site visit today. Call 050-9823-424. Palladium Residences. Live smart, invest better. Upgrade your print game with Konica Minolta, proudly powered by SkySat Technologies. From all-in-one machines that print, scan, and copy to professional systems and heavy-duty production machines, we deliver unmatched performance. Right now, SkySat has an unbeatable offer. 1 entire year of free servicing on all Konica Minolta machines. That's 12 months of expert maintenance for new and existing customers. Visit our new VIP Print Center at Pegasus Place, Airport Residential Area for a live demonstration. Call us on 050-164-5180 or 0302-798-829. Again, it's 050-164-5180 or 0302-798-829. SkySat Technologies. Performance that delivers every time.
In Biggie's house, there's no place to hide. And even when you think no one is watching, the energy can swing in an instant. This BB Naija Season 11. Everything burns brighter. Only the biggest moves tip the scale. Because nothing is given. But everything is for the taking when the world watches. Will you be outshined, or will you step up and take the spotlight? Big Brother Naija Season 11 starts Sunday, July 26th, showing 24/7 on DSTV Channel 198 and GoTV Channel 49. Headline sponsor, Bet Power.
Yeah.
Hello again. The Accra High Court was packed with the high-ranking officials of the opposition NPP as its Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Ntriboisiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, appeared before the court for proceedings in his alleged 30 million cedis Exim Bank fraud case. Well, today's appearance comes exactly a week after the embattled politician was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment in a separate illegal mining case involving the Samra Boy concession. Earlier, the Attorney General's office indicated that it had rejected Wuntumi's proposal for a plea bargain in the Exim Bank case. Our legal affairs correspondent Fatal Bayaga just returned from the courts and is joining me in the studio with more on this. Fatal, just before we get into the full details of what happened in court today, conspicuously missing today was Andy Apiakubi, who is the lawyer for Wuntumi. Why was he missing?
Indeed, the Apiakubi was missing in court, and in fact, that was, the first thing that I, when I got to court, I realized that the NPP officials were coming in and all of that. It was almost time for the case to be called. I didn't cite Andy Apiakubi. So what I did was to call him. When I called him, he was like, he's currently in Koforidua. Then I asked, is it that you're no more the lawyer for Chairman Wontumi? Then he was like, it's premature to say that. So it was later when the case was called, Atachia, who is now the new counsel, was on his feet, and basically he said that he is taking over from Wontumi because Wontumi had withdrawn his legal services to Chairman Wontumi, who is the first accused, and then the third accused. We're talking about Wontumi Farms, right? So he's assuming the role as the lead counsel for Chairman Wontumi in this particular case. So basically, this was the explanation that he gave to us.
Right. We're hearing that the Attorney General's office is saying that they have rejected Chairman Wontumi's plea bargaining deal. Has that position changed?
Basically, because in court, Deputy Attorney General Justice Ramsai was on his feet, and basically he said that their conversation with Wontumi's previous lawyer and the Apiakobi hadn't really gotten to his conclusion because they were unable to, or they did not accept Wontumi's plea proposal, right? And in fact, he said that this was disrupted because of Wontumi's judgment in the Summer Boy case.
Right.
Apart from that, today a new person is taking over as Wontumi's lead counsel. Then they will need more time to be able to talk, and that would help them to now reach an agreement as far as this particular case is concerned. So when he made that point, Wontumi's new lawyer, Atachia, in fact, was on his feet. He said that the legal vacation will start on the 1st of August, and they should come back in October when the courts resume in order to continue with this particular case. In fact, he said that they will need more time to be able to talk as far as this case is concerned. So when he made that point, Deputy Attorney General, in fact, opposed it. He said that they were already having conversations. It's just that they didn't get to the ending part of it, right? And it was because of the issues that I just talked about, Wontumi's conviction, among other things. So he prayed to the court for 15 days, either 15 days or 30 days, for them to come back to court again to update the court on the progress of this particular conversation. So basically, the trial judge, Halima Abdul-Allah Bassett, listened to all the parties in this particular conversation and then settled on 27th August, where the parties will be back to court to update the court on the progress of this particular case.
You tell us that there were several high-profile members of the opposition NPP. Who were they, and what have they been telling you?
Ken, the former national chairman of the party, Freddie Blay, was in court. Former information and works and housing minister, Kojo Oponkroma, was in court today. Samuel Oku, Dennis Miracles, among other top officials of the MPP were all in court. And basically, immediately after the court proceedings, we tried to get a word from them based on what I've listened so far and all the things that have happened since Wontumi was convicted. They wouldn't, in a way, talk to the media. But then the lawyer, one of the lawyers for Wontumi, a member of parliament for Mensia South, Nana Ejebafewa, then briefed the press, and he told us that why we saw Atachia and him in court today was because the party has, taken a step to say that, okay, it's going to take over all the cases that are currently being prosecuted, involving Chairman Wontumi. So now all these cases are going to be defended by the party's legal team. So he spoke about that and said on August 27, they'll be back again in court to brief the court on the progress of this conversation. Come listen to him.
We were in court this morning for the case of the Republic versus Chairman Wontumi in respect of the Exim Bank loan matter involving Wontumi Farms. The party has since directed that the cases involving Chairman Wontumi be taken over by the party's legal team. And so, in respect of this matter, Mr. Samuel Atachia is leading it, and then I'm assisting him together with other lawyers of the party. We're in court this morning, and the AG brought to the court's attention that the initial plea bargain negotiations, which was commenced prior to the conviction in the other matter, couldn't continue or couldn't come to a conclusion because of the conviction and subsequently because of also the withdrawal of the lawyer in the matter. The court, taking cognizance of that, also decided to indulge the parties to continue with the negotiations so that we could finalize it and notify the court. And so the matter has been adjourned to the 27th of August to enable parties go back to the negotiations table to finalize same and bring it to the court's attention. Thank you very much.
You are the lawyer.
That's Nana Ejay Bafo Ewa there. Fatal Bayaga is still in the studio with me. Fatal, we've also been hearing from Wuntumi's new lawyer in this case, Samuel Atachia. What did he tell you?
So basically, when he moved out of the court, some of the journalists approached him, and then basically they said that you've gotten another opportunity, to serve. And he responded by saying that, yes, it's an opportunity, but a lot of burden, because at the moment we know that he is not the one leading Eduboy's case.
Right.
And also, we know that he is now the lawyer for Wontumi in the Summer Boy case.
Right.
He has now been convicted. And so he said that it's a lot of work for him, but then he would try as much as possible to help his counsel in this, his client in this particular case. So he also told us that, he confirmed to us that he's now going to take over all the cases that Wontumi is currently being prosecuted on. We're talking about the Summer Boy illegal mining case, the Tano Numri illegal mining case, and also the Exim Bank case. We can listen to him.
In the first instance, you are not kind to say that I'm a lucky man. You've put more work on my shoulders. But essentially, the judge agreed, and Honorable Deputy Attorney General Service also agreed that you attempt a plea bargain and then come back to the court and announce it. So we'll take up that initiative and see whether we can broker a deal, and that matter will come to an end. So that is what happened. Yes, indeed. And all the cases associated with Wontumi have taken over, and then we'll see how we prosecute them.
Away from the courts, government says it has received the body of one of two Ghanaian nationals who lost their lives during the recent xenophobic attacks in South Africa, with efforts still underway to repatriate the remains of the second victim. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, disclosed this while briefing journalists at the Accra International Airport earlier today, where he joined officials from the ministry and security agencies to receive a group of Ghanaians evacuated from South Africa. Well, the minister assured the families of the deceased that government remains fully engaged with South African authorities to ensure the second body is returned to Ghana as soon as possible.
The South African authorities that the two Ghanaians, Mr. Bashiru Isaac and Mr. Kojo Enji, they are to be justice, and we will continue to demand thorough investigations, arrests, and prosecution of those who killed our beloved two compatriots, Mr. Bashiru Isaac, whose body we have received, and Mr. Kojo Enji, whose body we are yet to receive.
That's Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. Stephen Mensah was at that event and is joining me in the studio with more. Stephen, welcome. A minute's silence was observed for the Ghanaians who sadly lost their lives.
Yeah. So, Kenneth, it was one of the solemn moments at that event. You notice that most of these individuals, once they came in, were giving thanks to God and giving some praises or thanks to the ministry also. But then during this time when they indicated that it's a solemn moment and a minute of silence for the individuals who lost their lives, you notice and you could feel the heaviness with which these people came back with and how they are relieved of. And you would also notice once you get there that these individuals were trying to tell us the story of what they've been through. Once the minister indicated that we are giving a minute of silence to the people who lost their lives, that's a story. You notice people saying, "Oh, thank God." People, that moment is a very solemn one. In fact, once they got down from the aircraft and they were taken through all the screening processes, you notice that agencies, some of the agencies there, IOM was present, NADMO also present, and other security agencies also present, all trying to ensure that the screening process was safe and they went through the screening process safely and everything was done right.
So how many people are expected in this latest evacuation?
So for this evacuation, this will be the second evacuation since the xenophobic attack started. We know of the ones that started in May. We know of the ones that happened in June. And the one that started in May and June, the total will be 980 for June and May. But then for this attack and for the second tranche of the evacuations, you will notice that, and from what we understand, it will be 1,000 individuals. And so far, we know that the evacuation started somewhere yesterday. This dawn also, we noticed and we understand that there are some individuals who evacuated from South Africa. So, and we understand, and the information we are getting is that later this evening also, there will be another evacuation. So more people expected this evening for the evacuation. So total, we understand 1,000 of these individuals will be returning home back here in Ghana.
Announce that, as we did for your compatriots who came earlier in the first round of evacuations, we are going to hand over to you travel allowances. We will also hand over to you reintegration allowances to everybody. We are not amending. We are not changing, we are not reducing. It is the same package because you are all valuable Ghanaians who we cherish and we adore very much. You do not have to continue to worry after all the trauma that you have gone through. I also want to assure you that those of you who have left behind property, shops, valuable assets, we continue to engage with the South African authorities, and we have put together a legal team. You are aware of our petition at the African Union, and we are going to explore all available channels to make sure that this clear violation of your fundamental human rights, the deprivation of your properties, your life investments, that you are well and duly compensated.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa there. Stephen Mensah is still with me in the studio. Stephen, there was also a call by the Foreign Affairs Minister for an end to xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Yes. What did he say?
In fact, government has been pretty firm on this stance that the xenophobic attacks are not right and they are an adverse to human rights. So the minister took the opportunity to indicate again that this is not good and is putting a dent on South Africa's image. We can listen to him again, tell us about and call for an end to the xenophobic attacks.
Last week, President Mahama granted audience to a special delegation sent by President Ramaphosa to come explain the migrant crisis and to seek rapprochement and to seize and ease tensions. That was the objective of the visit, as we were told. In the discussions, it became clear from what they themselves told us that Ghanaians are law-abiding, Ghanaians are not criminals, and that when you look at the statistics, Ghanaians are the least in terms of suspects, criminal cases, and those who are even in prison in South Africa. We really are not a country of concern. And that is what they themselves confirm. So we will continue to hold talks with the South African authorities to ease tensions. We hope that they will also do better in managing this crisis, reining in those who are running amok, who are attacking, killing, looting shops. That is not the kind of Africa that we deserve. This whole xenophobic attacks casts a very
Away from the Accra International Airport, let's do some politics, because fresh data from research firm Global Info Analytics is suggesting Ghanaians are dissatisfied with the implementation of two of government's flagship policies, the Women's Development Bank and the 24-hour economy policy. Using a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 representing the highest rating and 1 of the lowest, respondents scored the Women's Development Bank 4.6 out of 10, while the 24-hour economy received an even lower rating of 4.2. The survey, however, found stronger public support for other government initiatives. The no academic fee policy emerged as the highest rated program with a score of 6.1, followed by the Big Push at 6, tax relief measures at 5.8, and the National Apprenticeship Program at 5.5. The poll also examined public opinion on the proposed regional tribunal. To help us unpack the findings and what they really mean, I've been joined on Zoom by the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa, for more on this. Musa, welcome to the program. Before we examine the findings, help us understand how this poll was conducted. What methodology did the Global Info Analytics use for this baseline telephone survey?
Right. Thank you very much for having me. Over the years, we've collected telephone numbers of voters across the country in every region. And the plan is that we're going to be tracking the views of these voters over a period of time. So this is the first baseline poll that we conducted. We placed calls to these people in all the regions based on the number of people who vote in that region. And then when it came to those regions, we also further assigned the sample to political parties based on their strength in each of the regions, which we have data for that we have. So, for example, in Ashanti region, more of the calls will go to MPP voters and more to the floating voters and then to NDC. And in that order, in Volta region, more NDC than MPP, than floating voters and MPP. So we've done that because we have a record of average party affiliation of all the people in the region. So that is also kind of weighted in that order. We place the calls to them and we engage them over the period. About 7,761 people were engaged and they answered all the questions across all the 16 regions.
Okay. Now, your survey covered more than 7,000 completed interviews across all 6 regions. How confident are you that this sample accurately reflects the views of Ghanaian voters?
Well, in the methodology, we've shown you that our confidence level is 99%.
Okay.
And the margin of error is plus or minus 1.5%.
That's quite confident, I must say.
We are always confident.
Okay. One of the headline findings is that 65% of respondents support President Mahama's decision not to seek a third term. Yet, when asked whether they support calls for him to seek a third term, the country appears much more divided. How do you explain what seems to be a contradiction in public opinion?
Look, there's no contradiction here. The first question was that John Mahama says he will not contest the next election for a third term. Do you agree with his decision or you disagree with the decision? That is a different question. And 65% of people agree with that decision. He has made his mind and they support him for making that mind. And 27 disagree with him, or they disagree with him that he shouldn't contest or he wouldn't contest. And 8% have no opinion. But when we ask them that, however, some people are calling on him to contest, do you support those who are calling on him to contest or you don't? When we ask them that question, then it changes slightly. Then you have 50% say, no, we don't support that call. And 40% say, yes, we support that call. They are two different questions. And we're aiming to answer two different questions we asked them. And they were quite clear in what they were answering.
I see. And your poll once again suggests that 60% of voters believe Ghana is headed in the right direction, while President Mahama enjoys more than 70% approval rating. Let's look at the factors that you believe are driving these relatively high levels of optimism and approval.
Look, let's leave the approval aside. Let's come to the direction of the country. 60% said right direction. This can be one of the highest, it's been highest before in other polls, but it's still quite high compared to where we came from in 2024. And then again, when you ask people about their standard of living, has it improved in the last 12 months? Over half of them said yes, it has improved in the last 12 months. Only 19% said it's gotten worse. So some of these feelings are translating into Muhammad's approval rating. And indeed, his public declaration that he may not contest for the election may have given him some favors as well.
That's quite interesting. The survey is also asking voters to rate government's flagship policies. And we look at something like the Women's Development Bank and the 24-hour economy. They received the lowest rating, while the no academic fee policy, the Big Push agenda, tax reliefs, and the National Apprenticeship Program scored relatively higher. What do these ratings tell us about which policies are resonating with Ghanaians and which may require a rethink?
I think it's a check, what we call reality check. If you look at the 24-hour economy, I mean, there's no doubt that people are struggling to really understand what it was.
Right.
When it was first sold out, it was different from what is being done now. What is being done now is much bigger than what they said 133. So people are seeing a bit of disconnection between what they said and what is being done, even though the current approach is much bigger than the 133. When it comes to the Women's Bank, banks are not fictional. It's supposed to be real. Nobody has seen a branch yet, but they've heard that money has been set aside, so it's doing slightly higher than the 24-hour economy. Once the Women's Bank begin to open branches, I think it will begin to climb up the rating systems. And then you have the Ejumora tax relief, the Big Push, and the no academic fee. These are things they are already seen. And once they are being seen, they tend to get higher rating.
Let's look at the proposed regional tribunals, which appear to enjoy broad public support, with more than 60% approving the establishment, which includes support across different political affiliations. What does this level of consensus suggest about public attitudes toward justice and accountability, you think?
I think if you look at the poll we did some few months back regarding oral, people were disappointed that oral hasn't taken a full course and that they demand accountability. Now, if you look at the reasons for creation of these regional tribunals, they are saying that it is there to fast-track cases so that it doesn't stay too long in the court. Once people understand that process, and that's the reason why it's being brought, they tend to support it. Now, what we've seen also is a generational divide. The tribunal, nobody remembers what tribunals did in the late 70s, 80s, because most people who are voting today were not there at the time. So those who are expressing fear are those who witnessed tribunals and how they ended up with some justices along the line. The people who are voting today have no recollection of tribunals. And for that matter, they want to judge the tribunal based on reality, not historical perspective.
Let's look at the extradition of Abu Treka. More respondents disagreed with government's handling of the matter than supported it, while nearly 3 in 10 had no opinion. What do you think influenced public sentiment on this issue?
Look, we have to tell them the story behind Abu Treka,
right,
for them to be able to make an informed decision.
Okay.
And I think the fact that they think or they believe that the government did not exhaust the appeal process that Abu Treka wanted to go through, they felt the government should have been patient to do that. So that has really affected the way people see the government action. But by and large, if you add those who are no opinion, those who oppose, very small plurality of people back the government the government act.
Right. Your poll, interestingly, also measured perceptions of global powers. We're having a country like Canada topping the favorability rankings, followed by China, the UK, while South Africa, Russia, and Israel recorded negative net favorabilities. What do these findings reveal about Ghanaian attitudes towards international partners?
Look, it's quite interesting. I mean, for the first time, we see through data or what Ghanaians think about these global powers. And I mean, Canada has been favored very highly. And not surprisingly, China has not been meddling in people's internal affairs. So you tend to see them at a very high rate. UK is also top 3, 33%, followed by European Union on the in fourth place. America is in distance 5th with just 7% positive. And then you have Russia with minus 3%. Now you have the Arab countries with minus 6%. And South Africa, not surprisingly, minus 61 points.
Let's now look at this one. Your survey points to a dead heat between Johnson Essiedu-Nketia and Finance Minister Akufo-Addo in the race to lead the NDC in the next election. How significant is this finding, and should it be interpreted as an early indication of the party's direction?
Look, I think it should be seen as early indication of no direction at the moment, because the two are at each other's throats, 17 votes between them.
Okay.
I mean, this is dead heat. But you can see that, as other polls have shown, that it's going to be a two-horse race. And unless Akufo doesn't contest, if he does contest, we have a two-horse race. If he doesn't, Nketia will be the flag bearer.
Right, that's quite interesting there. My final one will be about the survey simulated possible 2028 presidential candidates with Akufo-Addo and Essiedu-Nketia both leading comfortably in separate scenarios against MPPs Mahmoud Bawumia and other potential candidates. Given the election is still some time away, how much weight should we place on these projections?
Actually, it should be given a good credence. If you look at our polls historically, in I think somewhere January 2022, we did the same thing, and the outcome didn't change much at the time. So 3 years before the elections, we were polling, and we mounted the poll to the end. We are doing the same thing here. We're giving you scenarios of who is doing what against which candidate. Now that the NDC hasn't got their candidate, we see how Akufo is performing against Essiedu-Nketia, Akufo against Bawumia. And when you throw in Essiedu-Nketia, how he does against Bawumia, it gives you an indication of what could happen down the line.
Musa Dankwa, glad you could join me this afternoon. He's the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. Away from politics, the Global Share Alliance warned that West Africa is losing an estimated 8 million share trees every year, raising concerns that the continued degradation of share parklands could threaten the future of the share industry and livelihoods of millions of people across the continent. The warning was echoed by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, and other stakeholders during the 2026 Share Day celebration in Bupe in the Savannah region. Isaac Nonya was there and reports.
Speaking through Mr. Idi Zakaria, Managing Director of Global Share Alliance, Akufo-Addo, said population growth, agricultural expansion, among others, are placing unprecedented pressure on share parklands.
For a common purpose, which is securing the future of share. That purpose has never been more important. Across West Africa, we are losing an estimated 8 million share trees every year. Population growth, agricultural expansion, bushfires, unsustainable tree removal, and the impacts of climate change are placing unprecedented pressure on our share resources. And if we continue this path, projections show that by 2044, global demand for share will exceed supply.
To reverse the trend, the Alliance says it launched the Action in Share Parklands initiative in 2020. The program is built on 3 key pillars aimed at restoring share parklands, promoting sustainable management practices, and strengthening the resilience of communities that depend on the crop.
Recognizing this challenge, the Global Share Alliance launched an Action for Share Parklands in the year 2020. Action for Share Parklands is our flagship initiative to restore, protect, and sustainably manage African share landscapes.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, reaffirmed government's commitment to the sector, saying the Eco Growth Development Initiative Foundation was established to tackle challenges confronting the share industry. His speech was delivered by a representative, Mumuni Suleimana.
Protecting the share tree is therefore not simply an environmental responsibility, it is an economic necessity. Every share tree preserved contributes to cleaner air, healthier soils, richer biodiversity, and stronger resilience against climate change. More importantly, it protects the livelihood of thousands of women whose families depend on this industry. This condition that inspired the establishment of Eco Growth Development Initiative Foundation by the Right Honorable Speaker of Ghana's Parliament. The foundation is committed to promoting environmental sustainability, youth employment, women economic empowerment, and inclusive economic development.
The speaker also praised the Global Share Alliance for its sustained efforts to develop the share value chain across Africa and urged stakeholders to work together to prevent the disappearance of the share tree. Meanwhile, the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Dr. Hugh Brown, called on stakeholders to renew their commitment to restoring degraded landscapes, conserving biodiversity, and creating more opportunity for women and young people through sustainable share production and value addition. His speech was delivered by the Acting Director of Climate Change at the Forestry Commission, Dr. Joseph Appiah-Japong.
So as we celebrate this important national event, let us reaffirm our collective resolve to restore degraded landscapes, conserve biodiversity, strengthen climate resilience with the share tree that we are into. May today's celebration strengthen existing partnerships, inspire new investments, and also deepen our collective commitment to ensuring that Ghana's share sector continues to flourish and as a catalyst for environmental sustainability, economic prosperity, and most importantly, our community development.
For Joy News, Azinonya reporting.
Let's do some health-related stories this afternoon because health experts are marking this year's World Brain Day by calling for improved access to diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation for neurological conditions. The 2026 theme, Brain Health Access for All, underscores the need for quality brain care regardless of where people live or their financial status. Experts say Ghana has made significant progress in neuroscience research and training over the past decade, creating more opportunities for young people to build careers locally. However, they warn that access to specialist care remains limited, with only a handful of neurologists serving a population of more than 30 million. They are urging greater public awareness, early detection, healthy lifestyles, and increased investment in brain health services to improve care across the country. And joining me in the studio to talk more about this is Vincent Abuaje. He's a neuroscientist. Vincent, welcome to the program. Many have described brain diseases as a silent public health crisis. But as a country, do you feel like we're investing enough in this health crisis?
Well, so the challenge has always been about the equipment that we have even in our hospitals. And the truth is that they are so limiting. And so because of that, I mean, when it happens like this, we have a lot of people who are even going without diagnosing, being diagnosed, being treated, and it has become a very major challenge in the country. And honestly speaking, that is why we are here to educate a lot of people about it.
What are the symptoms of the brain disease? Can you just see it with your naked eyes?
Well, so it depends on the kind of brain disorder that you're having. So for instance, if you're having something like cerebral palsy, it's a situation whereby you have a lot of difficulties with muscle coordination and movement. And we also have like seizures where someone can be falling on one side, or there can be a lot of indications. So depending on the kind of neurological disease that you're having and its kind of symptoms that you may be experiencing. But the baseline is that because we have limited healthcare systems and also equipment in place, some of these brain diseases are being ignored. At times, we may even go without noticing it, and it's a major concern.
Let's look at the diagnosis aspect. How damaging is late diagnosis to these brain disorders to the human?
It's a major concern because, you see, the thing is that our brain actually controls everything in the human body. So we literally say that the brain is the master organ of the body. So because of that, if there's something that has to do with the brain and it goes undiagnosed, it tends to cascade throughout the entire body, and we're going to have the effect. And so sometimes when it happens this way, there are situations whereby it can go beyond repair, and that is the danger. Our body systems, sometimes when we see it as early as possible, we can do something about it and even reversing the case. But if it goes untreated or undiagnosed or late, then it becomes a major issue. Considering also even what we have in our country.
You are a neuroscientist. Yeah. There are not many of you in our country, and there are not even advanced equipment to diagnose some of these brain disorders. What do you think we can do as a nation? One, to get more neuroscientists like yourself, and also get the equipment to be able to diagnose and proffer treatments to people suffering from these disorders?
So the issue in the country, it's so alarming. So alarming. I mean, like a country of about 35 million people, and we only have, per the last count, we only have about 16 neurologists with only 18 MRIs. And even with the 18 MRIs, it's only about 2, which is in state-owned hospitals that are functional. And it's really becoming something else. And day in, day out. For me, for instance, when I started in the part of neuroscience, I had a lot of people trying to advise me, Vincent, when you go through this tangent, it's going to be difficult for you to progress academically and a whole lot because the field is a bit difficult and all. But I believe that Ghana, for the past decade, we are really working so hard. And I have been so fortunate to be with a lot of people who are doing a lot, and there's hope. Yes.
So there are people like yourself who get trained in the country, but there's no place for them. And usually they tend to seek greener pastures in countries that they think they will be welcomed. How do you think we can be able to, as a country, stop that brain drain of sending our brightest when it comes to people who have specialty in brain disorder like yourself?
Yeah. So one of the major challenges with the brain drain is, sometimes it's not also about you having the skills, but it's also about having the funding, the finances and all. Recently, there has been the Ghana Research Fund that has been introduced, but we are still pleading that we're going to get more of these. Because the truth is, if we try to study and you have to battle with school fees, battle with research grants and what have you, then it becomes a bit worrying. However, those that are going outside the country are going to get stipends, they are going to get research grants, their fees are being waived off, and so it becomes a bit comfortable. A friend of mine always wanted me to come because, it's good there. But the case is that we want to stay and build the Ghana that we want.
I'm sure there are also cases of misdiagnosis due to the unadvanced technologies that we have to detect these things. Yeah. Most people say, oh, this one, it is if you need those kind of things. How damaging and worrying is misdiagnosis of brain disorders?
It's a major concern because one of the major challenges with brain disorder has to do with the stigmatization.
Right.
And even the fact that we always associate this kind of diagnosis with spiritual implications. And the ordinary Ghanaian man, the brain and the mind has been so infused to the point that when you talk about hospital-related conditions and how we can treat it, it becomes difficult. And I have a typical person in my family who, when he was having signs of stroke, he talked to me and I was just suggesting ways that we can go about it. And then I had one of my relatives saying that, no, as for this one, it's a spiritual matter. And it becomes very difficult to, first of all, deal with such a person, let alone to think of having issues. And then finally we come to the hospital to do about it.
You've talked about one of these disorders like cerebral palsy, which is obviously very visible for all to see, but there are others that are not so visible when they are started. Sure. Tell us some of the signs and symptoms of some of the brain disorders that you can't see with your naked eyes until you go to the hospital.
I'm going to have to talk about depression, anxiety. These are states of the mind that can really affect one. In most situations, especially, I have seen friends where they would enter into betting, for instance, and they will actually lose. And trust me, the whole day, the brain will not be in a stable condition. So it has a lot of... So please, when you are close to someone, it is good you observe the person. For instance, someone who is suffering from epilepsy. Most of the time, these brain conditions are also such that even when we see and we are trying to inform the person, they wouldn't want to accept it. And it becomes something else. So let's just pay close attention to our loved ones. They may show signs. subtle of it, although, but it can generate into something.
We just did a documentary called Doses. What's the name again? Remind me of the name again. Deadly Doses Part 2. We did a Part 1 and then the Part 2. And then in it, one of the startling things that we found was that many people are addicted to illicit drug use.
Okay.
They actually want to get out of it. They want to seek help, but they are always going for it. Let's look at addiction. Is it a brain disorder?
So addiction is something that has to do with your brain. Our brain is made in such a way that there's a principle we call plasticity. Okay, and that is how it talks about our ability of the brain to rewire following a particular action that you do all the time when it becomes repetitive. And there's also what we call the reward systems of the brain. So anything that it's just like, let me bring it down. For instance, if you are scrolling through TikTok, you see the kind of videos you watch, the algorithm will keep bringing you such videos. It's the same thing. So what you keep feeding your brain, your brain is going to be rewarding you with something, and over time, it will be followed with pleasurable stimulations and what have you. So over time, it becomes very difficult to break from it. But whatever it is, there's still hope. When you're going through any addiction and it's so difficult to handle, just see expert help and you're going to be sorted out.
That will be it. Thank you very much for coming. Vincent Abuaji is a neuroscientist. Thank you very much for that very valuable education on brain disorder. Well, still on health, the Ghana AIDS Commission says it is preparing to install condom vending machines nationwide by the end of 2026 as part of efforts to strengthen sexual and reproductive health services. The initiative is expected to make condoms more accessible in public places while reducing the stigma often associated with purchasing them from pharmacies or shops. Health officials say the machines will be strategically placed in locations such as universities, transport terminals, entertainment centers, and other public spaces where they can be accessed easily. They believe improving access to condom will help prevent sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, as well as reduce unintended pregnancies, particularly among young people. The Ghana AIDS Commission says the rollout will also be accompanied by public education campaigns to encourage responsible sexual behavior and increase awareness of the importance of protection. Authorities are optimistic that the initiative will contribute to improved public health outcomes while promoting privacy, convenience, and safer choices for Ghanaians. Let's now take you to Akufo-Addo district of the Western region, where galamsey has been normalized by illegal miners operating right in front of a local police station. The miners have taken over miles of wetlands and farmlands in 4 communities in the district as affected cocoa farmers cry for help. Some of the illegal miners say they have a right to mine because they pay weekly dues to security personnel and other stakeholders in the district. The situation has forced traditional authorities in Adum Trabuom, one of the affected communities, to demand the intervention of President Mahama. Erastus Asaradonko has toured the districts and reports.
In the once fertile lands of Akufo-Addo district, the story is no longer about farming. It is about destruction. On the grounds, it is a floodgate, a free-for-all, unhinged, unregulated, irresponsible mining. 4 towns, Akufo-Addo, Adum Trabuom, Adum Banso, and Ayim, are mostly affected. Here, in Akufo-Addo, it's almost as if mining illegally is legal. Galamsey is unhinged, open, glaring, bold, done anywhere, anytime. Just behind me, you could see how far they've gone into eating under electric poles and even close to the bridge that links this place and Adum Trabuom. The impunity is so bold that galamseyers operate without fear of arrest. They claim to be paying weekly dues to law enforcement personnel and custodians of the land.
Na mpanyinfo how mo ya we some mo ya adwuma
obi ya we say sa adwuma na yekoso a eti o mo ka so
mo say
o e depend adwuma obeye o ehu ska obenya no na odi betua sa eka no
nti ho na ya bejiska
oh yeah river guard for back police for back omo beje omo de ahemfo fo so beje omo de
and na record
yeah
na mo ankasa o feel say na mo ye adwuma electricity pole ba bia mo dia bedu the bridge ba bia mo wow mo feel say okay
oh ba no mo ton ha no mai ba na mo embinuma be dikan aye adwuma dada hena ye so ya batu as but yan me ya fan do na mo be ye adwuma wa hanom no
omo ba ha no prosifo ne ho no sen na amtua mo
omo ba ebi akura ne board ba police ni ba obotuma charge o sell for 5,000 bra one and be kan obi na ke 2,000 wait ama no sa na obi a soldiers for boy more them of pride police ni ba or than the pride river guarded than the pride t yeah
ya hemfo no so bejibi
wa hemfo dia na ai koye se eda wo be break no no wo kotua
The situation has reached a breaking point. At Ayem, illegal mining is ongoing boldly in front of a police station with armed policemen looking on. The illegal miners have forcefully invaded farms, turning acres of cocoa and other food crops into craters and mud. This elderly couple, 56-year-old Olivia Teria and her husband, 60-year-old Samuel Bentum, have had their farm taken over by the illegal miners here.
One month. Into 1 month ben na me ba bi twa no me bo wa galamse nsuo no abe fam kokoo no na
e pemi a mi na he na se ma yesa ma we na se wo abofra fa induska ti the best ma dia.
At Adum Trabum, the chiefs are incensed by the Galamsey activities which have taken over large tracts of their land, stifling development. Wetlands that fed the river Butri have been dug up and polluted. The chief of Adum Trabum, Nana Nyako III, and the sub-chiefs want President Mahama to step in to stop the illegal mining craze in the Mpohofiase district.
Mema asoja 40 se obeba be patrol wo ha na wa pam se nkrofo na afi ho enti anam so mama kobo regional police commander amanye mi na ifu nyina ma abo amanye se o metu won fi asase ne so ma yenya akwan yenchechiri yikuru
Galamsey no ase yikure baako sisi ara sofia kofom baye 3 months kwa ase woto pure water na wodi akọ oni baako sisi amekwa mohe aba company du ama me no nsu ne kuyi kobusu koso Galamsey chemicals niti abiri na ewu
awadi ayadom na nsuo ento na nsen kontomiti na and I'm saying Subontina at the Honor Galamsey for at the vetting. We are flat they sing crying. So you can see the Edda. Butri at the Hano. Hey, if you may be a moko and a sense in the dema Bessin Cobopum.
Yes, I see we was saying free I'm for need this for now by my kind. Ma Galamsey no day, or so yeah, man.
Well, I'm saying, you want to see Biblia. Invested it me about young and non Yako. Board the third. When I say below ha, I buy them one. Which my input to you, my youth in Benabia because you may be on here.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Mpohofiase, Western Region.
The Environmental Protection Authority says research findings showing plastic particles in women's placenta have heightened concerns over the continued use of harmful plastic products in the country. Speaking on Loud and Green X Spaces, Director of Human Settlement at the EPA, Hope Smith Lomote, said the decision to ban styrofoam, also known as polystyrene packaging, is part of a broader plan to address the health and environmental effects of single-use plastics. He said some plastics can remain in the environment for hundreds of years, eventually entering water bodies, the food chain, and affecting human health.
We have conducted a number of researches. We have even discovered plastic in some women's placenta, which is becoming alarming. And we have gotten to a decision point to take out styrofoam or polystyrene, or what you popularly call takeaway, but styrofoam or polystyrene in general, for now, as a roadmap leading to taking out other single-use plastics after this 1st January 2027. We have reached the point because when we look at it critically, the health implications where hot food are poured in some of these containers, exposing people to the chemicals, and oily food also are poured into them. Some of them get finally into our water bodies because they don't decompose easily. They take years. Some can even stay for about 500 years to decompose because they are not biodegradable. Some aquatic animals like the fishes also consume some of this, and they remain in their system, come back to us in the food chain.
The pause returns after this.
Democracy is by choice, not cash, not coercion, not corruption. Vote buying silences the will of the people. Unchecked illicit political financing weakens the very sovereignty of a state. Democracy falters when everyone's choice is compromised. An unprecedented multimedia politician-citizen forum brought to you by Joy News Impact Makers Foundation. This community-level engagement will spotlight illicit political financing, explore its implications, and proffer solutions to safeguarding Ghana's democracy. Democracy is not for sale on Joy News, Adom TV, Joy FM, Adom FM, and across our social media platforms.
We were living in one of the pavilion behind. Later that we had this new building. Then we now moved to the new building.
You did a lot. They have come here and asked us, and they have continued our 6-unit classroom building.
A lot has changed. After documentary, we had 60 tables and chairs, then a 10-bedroom teacher accommodation.
We have never been fair to these young children. The children are suffering. We applied for school feeding, which will have also helped to increase the enrollment.
The impact has been great in terms of enhancing duty bearer responsiveness, in terms of responding to the infrastructure needs, in terms of teacher availability. We are seeing that there's progress.
Every morning before the rush, before the arguments, before the headlines begin to chase us,
there's a moment to pause, to listen, to understand what truly matters.
This is where the day begins.
Mr. Kenneth-Gyasi, a man who has run away from his own people he once served. We believe in the spirit of accountability. It is important for him to come and answer charges preferred against him by the state.
On the AM show, the news is not just read, it is examined. The stories shaping your life, explained with clarity, handled with care. We ask the questions without fear.
If your constituency cannot grow enough tomato for Ghanaians, then there's something wrong with your constituency.
My name is Emefa Akosua-Addo.
And I am Samuel Kojo Brace.
Two voices, one purpose, holding the powerful to account, putting your interests first in every conversation.
No noise, no spin, just fact, contest, and the courage to ask the right questions.
Start your day informed, start your day empowered. The AM show on Joy News is definitely worth waking up for.
Joy News, independent,
fearless, credible.
And it is a procession for the nationals for T.I. Ahmadiyya Senior High School after a one-sided display from start to finish in the 9th contest of the Ashanti Regional Qualifiers. The Kumasi-based school beat Utmania SHS by 32 points to secure their qualification slot. Well, this win gives them another chance to break free from 3 consecutive national championship exits at the 1/8 stage. Here's the team's reaction after that contest.
So that's T.I. Amas. They call themselves Real Amas. They have also secured another slot to go into the national championship. I have some of the contestants here. They finished with 56 points. I beg your pardon. I want to understand what the feeling is like right now that you know that you have qualified to go into the nationals. You already have 3 years of going into the 1/8 stage. Where are you looking forward to going in this year?
Okay, we should expect us in the finals actually, and our target is to get a trophy. That's the ultimate. Thank you.
So he says that they are targeting the finals. I want to understand from the school, what school are you looking forward to beating when you go up to the nationals? Presec. What has Presec done to you? Because I've heard a lot of schools saying Presec Legon. What has Presec done to you?
The last time.
I want to hear. Yeah. Tell me.
The last time they didn't give us any chance, so this time too we are not giving them any chance.
Okay, so they should prepare for you.
Well, let's go to my colleague Ramat Bashiru. She's in the Central region for more updates on the contest that is currently unfolding in that particular region. Ramat, which schools are whipping their opponents so far?
Ken, coming to you live from Infantepim Assembly Hall, the last contest that ends the Central Regional Qualifiers of the 2026 National Science and Maths Quiz just ended, and something unexpected happened. Interestingly, when the contest began, it was a contest with two schools, Asin College SHS and Abraham Pass Secondary School. Abakampa Secondary School, I beg your pardon, they took the contest for themselves. But later at the last round, which was the riddle round, something unexpected happened. Then Steck jumped in, answered 2 riddles, and that made them qualify making it the first time they are qualifying actually to the National Science and Maths Quiz. And after the contest, when I spoke to them, they told me that they are not even happy about the qualification, but the fact that in the process of the contest, people thought they will not make it to the nationals. They were sidelined. And so these are them here, gathered here. How do you feel?
We feel very amazed. It's our first time qualifying for the National Science and Maths Quiz. In our preparation, we thought we couldn't make it. We lose hope. Everything was unexpected. In the round 2 and round 3, how we came back with the point, the true and false and the riddles, it's wonderful. And we are hoping we can further up with our contest and go up. And with God and all things being equal, we hope that we can qualify for the finals or the semi-finals of the National Science and Maths Quiz 2026. And Nyandentra is coming to the nationals, and we are coming with Vim.
This is the first time you're actually qualifying. Yeah. Was it something you expected?
Yes, we're expecting that we are going to qualify, because immediately they asked the question, we were thinking of it, because the way we were prepared, we were waiting for us to be perfect. We were waiting to perform on the stage. And even the Assin State and to the Abakampa, they were thinking we are going to lose. But God changed it. God changed it, and now we are the winners. If we are qualifying to the national, we are going to still be the winners of all time. Yes.
In a contest that from the onset, you were not stopping any of the rounds. As a teacher or the coordinator for the team, do you think that you are ready to meet the big schools out there?
We are going to meet them and meet them boot for boot. Yes, we are coming with vigor. We are going to learn, and we are going to burn the candles, and we hope that at the end of the day we shall come out with the flying colors. So they should wait for us. Them Fantapim, them Fantaman girls, the Hosley girls, the Holy Child, whoever comes, we shall meet them boot for boot. We are waiting for them.
Which school are you targeting?
Fantapim.
Do you think your guys are ready to stand them?
Yes.
What do you have?
Movie.
And so this is a very exciting moment for the Enstek Secondary School. For them, this first time qualifying to the national stage is something that they are going to keep up, and then they hope that they are going to win the national championship. And so what's your anthem?
The Enstek, and Enstek our hope and pride. We won't relent in our efforts to overcome the insurmountable. We are proud of Enstek, and Enstek our hope and pride. We won't relent in our efforts.
And so they say they are proud of their school, and the thing I'm also gathering is that they have the effort to overcome everything that they are going to meet. So Ken, this is quite an exciting moment here at the Central Region. The last contest ending the Central Regional qualifiers actually brought an unexpected winner, even from the onset of the contest. We are proud of
Ramat Bashir there with the students who have qualified to the nationals for the first time. I wish them all the best. Away from that, the poor condition of access roads of Asante Pota in the whole west district of the Volta region has taken a toll on residents' livelihoods and is impacting healthcare delivery. Sections of the roads are severely damaged, posing significant challenges to motorists and causing the stretch to become mostly deserted except on whole market days. Fred Kwame Asari made a journey to the agrarian community and reports.
Ashanti-Kpoita, situated in the West District of the Volta region, benefits from a favorable climate and large vegetation, suitable for cultivating cash crops, spices, and fruits, among others. It is one of the key suppliers to the country's food basket, with tons of farm produce transported to market centers nationwide. However, transporting produce to the market centers has become strenuous on the 11-kilometer stretch connecting Ashanti-Kpoita. Commuters often have to alight from their vehicles, carry their loads on their head, and walk through some parts of the stretch. The stretch has become a nightmare for commercial drivers who struggle to fly the routes.
No moto to ainjeje no vevela mo sike ya tebire jidula me de asinu ya menamnola ya tebino abe kweta no to meto ya tebire ke melinate agai abe emozozo.
Situation has severely affected the livelihoods of residents who depend on selling their farm produce to support their families.
Miapa signal la evazo agba enu chi gbomenami vogale miache miahi be miako miape edoda siwe
mi ponye ha ofe no nomeda mi le kukude na government mahama mi de kuku now pom ya fe no blanui ne na pom ya fe mo bona mi e wa be mi a ode do ko mi vazo abede mi megale Ghana fe.
The community's access to healthcare is effectively at a standstill. Maternal health is most impacted as pregnant women are forced to travel outside the community for comprehensive ante- and postnatal care. Healthcare providers are concerned about the potential repercussions of the deteriorating road conditions.
Evelia nami efuna fudu emi anta wela fio yibena ide koji gale hola evukpokpo ya fuma ha edana fu ta amomanyo na mi nyapo do wo mo ye no kako ameyi kokko gbona hala no va okpu moko wo troju me ga fia vago. The
bad state of the road has affected education in the community, as some teachers have refused to honor transfers to the community basic school. Community leaders are worried about the state of the Ashanti-Kpoita roads, which were first constructed in 1956 and have seen little rehabilitation since 2012.
Predominantly here in Kpoita, we are NDC people. NDC comes, NDC goes. Nothing comes out of it. Our President Mahama and our Road Minister, our own brother, Governor Kwame Abuja, we are pleading with him to come and see our road. The long and short of our story is that we want our road to be fixed because we are also Ghanaians here. Period.
The residents hope that the Ashanti-Kpoita roads will be fixed to safeguard their livelihoods, promote education, healthcare, and security, among others. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Ashanti-Kpoita.
Well, that's it for The Pulse this evening. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. The news team returns at 7 p.m. with News Prime. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. Have a good evening.
PM Express,
Power is confronted, claims are tested, and accountability is not optional.
The first 2 months in office between January, February, and March, we had already brought down this rate, and then we have sustained it since.
Politics, business, the economy, social justice. If it affects your life, it will be examined. If it shapes your future, it will be interrogated.
You ever sitting there today and you see me sweating, I'm answering your question, you in the comfort of your chair putting all these questions to me. That is why you would not have the responsibility of bringing about this document.
No safe spaces for evasion, no comfort in half-truths, just facts, pressure, and the courage to stay with the question until the answer comes.
Your word says,
my words were,
those on Compact Plus, you pay $570 and you get more